Welcome to Hancock's VMware Half Hour, and welcome back to 2025. Now, you may have wondered if you've been watching this channel where I've been for the last month. I've actually been away in Sri Lanka and still feeling the cold. Now I'm back in the UK, and I think I've got a little bit of a sniffles, so I do apologise. But anyway, the first thing to mention is a thank you to all those subscribers that have subscribed to this channel, because only this week did I hit the magic 1,000 subscribers. So thank you very much for that. Okay, so moving on, and hopefully there have been a few comments about the audio on some of the videos, which I do apologize for, that I'm hoping now has been finally rectified. I've done away with one mic, done away with the wireless mic that I was using, and I've now basically for 2025 upgraded the mic, upgraded the boom, so you can probably hear me a little bit louder, hopefully. So with that out of the way, I've been having a little look in the last month at the number of searches that have been hitting the channel. And one search that comes up quite regularly is how do I install Linux on VMware? Doesn't specifically mention which version of Linux, and of course there are many Linux distributions. So I thought that I'm going to choose probably three of the most popular Linux distributions. I'm going to look at Ubuntu, Fedora, and SUSE. And when I saw installing Linux on VMware, I have already covered videos on installing Linux, Ubuntu specifically, on the VMware vSphere hypervisor, ESXi. But now that Broadcom have made VMware Workstation Pro available, free to everyone. It doesn't matter whether you're commercial now, whether you're personal, whether you're in education. It's now completely free, and I will pop the previous video that I did on trying to find VMware Workstation Pro download on the Broadcom website, which can be a little bit tricky. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to install Linux. I'm going to pick Ubuntu in this video, Ubuntu Desktop 24.04 LTS on VMware Workstation Pro, and the latest version I think is 17.6. So without further ado, I'm going to switch to my desktop machine, which has a 12th gen processor. I'm just going to run CPU ID. I can put a description for this, put a link for this in the description, so that you can also download this application as well, to have a little look at the features of your processor. And the reason I'm doing this really and showing you this is that 12th gen processors and above on Windows 11, because this is Windows 11 that I'm running as well, 12th gen processors and above and Windows 11 don't really play nicely with VMware Workstation Pro. There's a performance degradation issue, which has been around for a couple of years now, I think, and I'm not quite sure whether or not it has been addressed, but there are a couple of workarounds. The first workaround is that when you start up VMware Workstation Pro, if you right click it and say run as administrator, then that will get around the problem. The other program is a program called Core Director, which I'm using here. And again, I'll put a link for this in the description. And what Core Director does, it tries to run processes and threads on physical cores, not e-cores, not efficiency cores. And you can also basically put a wildcard, or you can put a process, and it will try to keep that off the e-cores. And it's that process running on e-cores that causes the performance issue within VMware Workstation Pro. So I'm going to go back to my VMware Workstation Pro. I'm going to Going to do this quite slowly. So if you've never ever installed Linux before on VMware Workstation Pro, then you can follow these steps. So the first thing you want to click is File, a new virtual machine. And we're going to do a typical recommended. I'm going to, normally I might have actually basically used the installer disk image, and that would actually basically use the easy install. Unfortunately, the easy installation doesn't appear to work with Ubuntu 22.04 or 24.04. So I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. Now, the easy install basically is an automated installation. So basically, it fills in the information for you automatically. So it's a bit like a lights out installation. You don't have to really do much. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say I will install the operating system later. And we'll come back and we'll add the ISOs, which have already been downloaded from the Ubuntu website. So I'm going to basically select I will install the operating system later, followed by next. I'm going to select Linux. I'm going to select Ubuntu 64-bit, followed by next. I'm going to specify a location. So I'm going to call this Ubuntu 24.04 LTS. I'm actually going to select my D drive, only because the D drive has actually basically got lots of space. And I'm going to select a folder directory that I've already created called VMs. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to tag on that folder or directory as well, so that it creates that virtual machine in that folder, followed by next. Now, a little tip here. You can split the virtual disk into multiple files, which probably maybe makes it a little bit easier if you're copying that to USB backup or between machines. However, if your virtual machine is in multiple files, the performance is a little bit slower. So I'm just going to say store virtual machine as a single disk. So that would be a single 20 gig disk. I'll follow by next. Quite happy with the hardware. I'm going to click customize hardware here, and I'm going to browse to that Ubuntu desktop version, followed by close, followed by finish. So I'm just going to have a little look at the so we've got 4 gig of memory, 2 processors, 2 cores, hard disk 20 gig. We've inserted the CD-ROM. NAT, I'm going to leave it at NAT at the moment. As I did say at the beginning, that I'm going to basically go predominantly with the default so that you can follow along and not get confused. And I'm basically just going to hit the power on. Okay, we're going to get a warning about side channel mitigations, which is a security issue on this particular machine. I'm not really bothered about that, to be honest with you. So we've now booted from the ISO, the CD-ROM. Now, I do see many questions that pop up on Discord servers where people are trying to install virtual machines, and they don't get this screen. They don't get a screen that basically turns around and says, cannot boot from disk or something like that. All that means really is that you haven't inserted the CD-ROM, or you haven't actually ticked the button that says connect at power on. So I'm going to say try and install Ubuntu. And whilst that's doing that, I'm just going to get a drink of squash, or pop, as my grandfather used to say. But it really is orange cordial. It's quite interesting in Sri Lanka at breakfast. I often saw the orange juice described as orange cordial, or orange squash, as we say in the UK. But interesting, at the moment, I've also read that there is a shortage of orange juice in the world. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Okay, so we have now booted the Ubuntu 24 installation, and we've got an option there that says install Ubuntu. So I'm just going to click install Ubuntu, and I'm going to follow the prompts. You may have actually basically just heard the music there, or I did, which is the music which is being played through the virtual machine, and then that's being passed through via RDP to this machine as well. So I'm going to click English, that's my language, followed by next. I'm not bothered about any accessibility settings, so I'm going to click next. I'm going to select English UK as my keyboard, followed by next. We are connected to the internet, so this is something new in Ubuntu 24, so I'm going to say yeah, use a wide connection. It's telling me that there's an update available for the installer, so it's always worth basically clicking and updating the installer. I have seen issues in the past, so I'm going to click close installer, and it's going to ask us to do exactly the same thing again. So I'm going to double click install Ubuntu 24.04 LTS, and we're just going to repeat that, and we've got that little lovely tune again. So I'm going to say English, followed by next, followed by next. I'm going to select English UK, followed by next. I'm going to connect to the internet. I'm going to do an interactive installation. I'm going to use the default selections. I'm going to install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware. I'm going to download and install support for additional media formats, followed by next. Just going to have a little think about it. Of course, this is a brand new virtual disk, so there is no need for me to worry about what's actually on the disk. Okay, so we're going to create an account. So I'm going to specify my name. I'm going to basically just call this Ubuntu. I'm going to specify a username, and I'm going to basically choose a password, and hopefully I can get it typed correctly. Okay, so lots of green ticks, that's good. So I'm now going to basically click next. London is our time zone, followed by next. Going to review that information. I'm going to click install, and if we actually basically just expand that, we can see the installation running. So there's not much more really for me to do. So I'm going to bob off like I normally do, and I'll speed this up in post-production because I don't really think that you actually basically want to watch all this, and I will be back shortly. And I'm back. Okay, so the message on screen says Ubuntu 24.04.1 LTS is installed and ready to use. Well, ready to use in the fact that we need to click the Restart Now button. So I'm going to click Restart Now. And that's going to restart the virtual machine. It's going to complain about the... if we just... it's going to complain about the... I'm just going to edit and remove the CD-ROM because it's going to have a little... I was going to have a little moan about that CD-ROM being... So I'm just going to hit enter, and it's actually basically going to start to it's going to start to reboot. And if we just go back to console view, and that's actually now starting up. Now just a note on I've seen a few questions about this as well. Running Ubuntu and Windows in virtual machines on VMware Workstation Pro. There is no GPU pass-through. So the graphics card that's used in the virtual machine is a virtual GPU. I know there are some people that are trying to run games virtually in virtual machines, and trying to work out how they can use the virtual. How can they use the graphics card in their host from the virtual machine? And you can't in VMware Workstation Pro. It's not supported. It doesn't support GPU pass-through. So you may have noticed now that that's gone full screen, because that's actually basically using open VMware tools to do that. So finally, I'm just going to basically say next. I'm not going to sign up to Ubuntu Pro, followed by next. I don't want to share my data, followed by next, and followed by finish. So that's it. We are done. We have successfully installed Ubuntu 24.04 LTS Desktop in VMware Workstation Pro. But just one other little tip that I like to do is that I'm just going to update. So I'm going to use sudo apt-get followed by updates. Type my password in, and it's update, not updates. And then I'm going to do an upgrade, and that will basically download all the updates available from the Ubuntu repo. So we've got all the critical and security updates applied. So now we can actually basically go off and start using our Ubuntu platform. Now, this particular PC that I'm using, it's a 12th gen. I think it has 32 gig of RAM. It doesn't have a lot of RAM, but it does have underlying NVMe storage for the operating system and the virtual machine. So that does help with performance. I have seen a few questions about people complaining about poor performance of Ubuntu. So basically, you want a computer that's got a few cores available and an underlying fast storage system, and you shouldn't have any problems with your virtual machine. Or you could, on this particular, I'm just going to basically big X out of that. On this particular machine, I do also have, I'm just looking for a terminal prompt. I also have WSL2 on Windows 11, which I also use for running Ubuntu as well. That's Ubuntu 22.04 running in WSL2. So just to go to show that you can run WSL2 and VMware Workstation quite happily on the same machine. And I'm just going to do now a disk dash upgrade, and I'm going to say yes to that. So there we go. How to install Linux in this particular version, this distro, Ubuntu 24.04 LTS in VMware Workstation Pro 17.6. I think we're running 17.6. Let's just go help about 17.6.2. So there we go. Thanks so much for watching. If you've got any questions about this, you didn't follow what I was talking about, you didn't follow the steps, or you have any questions at all, then please drop them in the description, and I'll be pleased to answer them. And in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up and like, and come back when we do a couple more of these videos. As I said, I'm going to choose the popular ones, so we'll do CentOS, Red Hat, Fedora, and we'll get these up on YouTube, and then we'll have a little look at some of the other search requests. I think there was one on how to install a web server on Linux as well, on VMware Workstation Pro. So once again, thanks so much for watching me, and thank you very much, and goodbye.